Your goals don't collapse because you're weak. They collapse because no one ever taught you how to architect your own life. You came in for goal setting, but the real problem is way bigger. So we've all been there before. The January hits, New Year's, new ideas, new resolution, new enthusiasm, that new year energy. And that's a beautiful peak. That's a beautiful moment. We reflect on the end of the year, have that Christmas dinner, Boxing Day kicks in, maybe some weeks before that you've been feeling the energy, want to sort my life out. And then you get to this moment where you get the goals, you get the ideas, all the things that you need to change in your life in order to make this year a great year. And we know obviously that 80% of people by February, their New Year's resolutions fall off a cliff. Literally fall off a cliff. And so what we want to do basically is break that cycle. So today I'm going to show you why that happens. The first thing is to understand why that happens. And so I've built some slides for the day. You're going to be getting some takeaways around where the problem is, where the root of the problem is, and understanding that this is a systems failure issue. So what we're basically saying today is, obviously, this is the lecture on Beyond Smart Goals. So thank you very much. My name is Leon Noble. Welcome to my channel, and we're about to dive into the slides and to the presentation. If you've never been on this channel before, just know that we go deep, we go intricate, we go nuanced, because they say that the devil is in the detail. And so often we go for these big goals without really understanding the structures and the micro habits, the micro movements, the micro forms that are needed to imprint our ideas into reality. And so what I teach, and what I'm going to be teaching today, is how to do that. And one of the key words is discernment. So yeah, without further ado, let's go. New way of presenting, half and half screen even. So as we say, beyond smart goals. Oh, so yeah. So as I said, a new way of presenting. I'm now presenting by building apps. So I'm going to build an app per presentation. Like literally, this is how we're doing. And today is just the first iteration of that. So as I said, we're going to be teaching metaphysics and spirituality in new forms. And I've got a whole bunch of things that are coming up. But let's keep it focused. Let's get back to the program. So as the great saying goes, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the levels of your architecture. It's really systems, but obviously we've got to mix it up. You fall to the levels of your architecture. So obviously we just spoke about the February crash. So January 1st is the peak, the peak of high hope. The hope is high. The February, obviously, roughly around February 15th is the crash. So it's about 6 weeks basically until things plummet to that kind of like 80 to 90% level. And it's because the system just wasn't really structured for growth. You didn't really structure things for success. And so this is not a discipline problem. It's basically what we're saying. Like most people, they put it down to laziness and indiscipline as the reason. So most time people's focus is with this New Year's resolution, I'm going to become more disciplined. So I'm going to also focus on how I can become disciplined. And whilst that is definitely one of the ingredients that is needed in order for goals to be obtained, it's often over focused on because of an anxiety to so much failure, or a fear of failure, because most people, especially if they're, you know, above 20 years old, would have done New Year's resolutions multiple times, like, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And so that refinement of being able to get better at achieving your goals, hopefully over time, is just naturally improved. And then maybe you read a book like Atomic Habits or something like that, which obviously was which was sort of like a bestseller book. I say about 6 or 7 years ago. Time flies. I remember reading about 5, 6 years ago, when I was on that cycle, on that rat race of, I need to hit my goals. I need to hit my goals. And, you know, not, I won't call it anxiety, but just that whole idea of what a goal is in the first place is what I would say, which is what I'm here to teach, which is inherently what the problem is, or one of the problems is. We need to move away from goals. We need to move away from SMART goals. So if anyone doesn't know what SMART goals are, SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time driven. So anyone that's worked in a business environment, this is like the most popular framework for goal setting. It's called SMART goals. And, you know, every year I would basically do these SMART goals, literally do these SMART goals. That's what I was taught. So just give me 1 second. The door is there. Someone is at the door. Let's go get that. The way to minimize the sound. Pop out chat. Yeah, that's better. All right, just give me 1 second. I just need to go get the door. Open the door. Very close. Why are you trying to distract that for? You're just trying to distract from the fact that you said. Oh, it's on the sofa. Okay. Yeah, you've got the bag. See you later, yeah? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's fine. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely hit a little edit for this video today. Definitely hit an edit. Shut your door on the right. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Cool, whatever. All right, cool. Where was I? Oh, yes. All right, cool. So, yeah, like I said, most businesses, you know, you may have just come across the term SMART goals. It's not like every single business follows SMART goals, but it's just one of the most popular frameworks in the world. And it works in some cases and it doesn't in others. And so I did a video last year called how to stop being a manifestation monkey, or something to do with manifestation monkey. It's me. It's one of my favorite thumbnails actually. It's like a monkey, and yeah, behind me basically, on my shoulder or something like that. So anyway, how to become and so in that video I taught this this magic formula, a way to basically reverse the SMART goals. And so as I've come back off of my hiatus for the past 3 years, I've basically spoken and said that I'm creating my own universe. And so I've basically spoken and said that I've been living in my own universe for the past year since I built it. And this year, I'm not refining my goals, I'm refining my universe. The universe which I've architected. This is essentially it. You know, I'm taking the architect role to my own universe, the UV verse, as I call it. So anyway, we worked with SMART goals for most of my life. We then moved to magic goals for over a year. And then now we're basically at a point of synthesis. So that's essentially what I'm teaching today, is the SMART magic framework. And what we're basically saying is that your energy wanes because your motivation is synthetic. That forcefulness of trying to better yourself is often forced. If you think about the business of most people, like working 9 to 5s and then they get maybe a week off at Christmas or something like that. You know, most people take a week off at Christmas, or a lot of people take a week off at Christmas. And then we're cramming all of our ideas and ambitions into this 1-2 weeks. You know, you might have a privilege of doing it for a whole month, but there's a forcefulness to it. And I often speak about force versus power. It's a book, but essentially it speaks about the dynamics of force versus power, magnetism versus electricity, pushing versus against pulling, so on and so forth. Essentially, power is what you want to create, and forcefulness is when you're basically creating strain and tension in your movements. So that motivation that is synthetic is forced, is forced motivation. And so it collapses. Anything that is forced is false. Force equals false. Like a forced relationship feels forced, feels false. And so we also teach the framework of prology. And shout out to my biocoherence people, the framework of prology speaks about life being a project. So life being a project, and the architecture or the systems are the Plato forms that dictate who you are. So the architecture, the reason why you want to take control of your own universe, or at least understand the shape of your universe, because your universe is always being created with every thought, with every movement, with every intention, with every desire. Your universe is created around you. The universe is a mirror. The universe is an echo. And so once you start understanding that your form is going to dictate your power dynamics, then you don't need to focus on goals. Goals becomes a product. Goals become a byproduct of the project. Let me say that one again, because I never said that before. Your goals become a byproduct of the project. And your project is shaped by your form. And so we have to repose the question. The question needs to be reposed. You know, So with the SMART goals, it's what am I what? A, achieving. In the middle of SMART, at the heart of SMART is the A, the art of being an achiever. When we speak about SMART goals, we understand that we're basically working with linear time. We're basically working with orthodox time. And so at the heart of orthodox time and orthodoxy is SMART success, which speaks about the idea that this life is to be achieved. There is an end goal. There is the ends justifying the means. And in the magic system, I completely flipped that on its head. I basically completely flipped that on its head. I literally just sat there one day and was like, I'm gonna do the exact opposite to SMART goals. Like I just saw the problem of the linear of SMART goals. I won't say forcing you into linear time, but basically being a boundary point for linear time. And I was like, okay, cool. We're definitely gonna flip that on its head because obviously I'm creating an infinite universe, you know, my infinite series that I always talk about. That I kind of kicked off the channel with, essentially. So your energy dissipates because it has no vessel. That's a lovely graphic. I've literally, yeah, anyway. Yeah, this is my new learning platform for now. This is version 1 of my learning platform, by the way. So why your energy wanes? Because obviously we speak about energy, and so I work with vibrology, or the study of vibration. And so to me, everything is waves and wave mechanics. And so that why your energy wanes is the wave wanes, the wave that wanes. Motivation is synthetic, systems are organic, and your energy dissipates because it has no vessel. There is no vessel. You haven't been able to form structure which can contain your dreams. Say that one again. The reason why you fail in your goals, going back, projects, is because you haven't formulated, you haven't given yourself enough, you haven't imprinted your body with enough information for it to have stabilized your field. And so your energy dissipates because it has no vessel. It is not a lack of discipline. It is a lack of formation in your vessel, in your form. Plato's forms. The shape of things to come. You can't manifest anything because you haven't, like a potter's wheel. In my present moment, I don't understand even the shape of things to come. Sorry, I do that as well. I'm sorry, I'm on one today. I've been on a 4-hour philosophy binge today, just in my own mind. And yeah, so words, being word perfect today. I'll be quite slow with my words today. It's just one of those ones. How can you understand the future if you haven't formulated enough? Then you won't be able to understand the shape of things to come. Because we don't speak of destiny on this channel. Well, we do, just because it's like a common term, but we more speak towards pattern recognition. There's no need for me to basically for me to understand the destination, the end goal. All we're doing is we're putting ourselves into a shape that oscillates as pattern. And because that pattern is understood, recognized, or felt, or intuited, we then can start to see the shape of things to come. We can intuit the shape of things to come. where you're divine, where you will seem like you're divining, you will seem like you're channeling. So anyone that is new to the channel, one of my favorite things is syncretism. So yes, I do divination as well. I do readings, but then I'm just using them as a stimulator, as an excitation point in the field for my own imagination to lock onto into the field of coherence and pattern recognition. This is why I do readings. The readers in and of themselves is not that special, you know. It's the one reading, the observer. It is never the tool. I haven't said that for a while. It is never the method, it is always the man. I haven't said that line for months. I haven't really been getting into divination that heavily recently. Like, I'm not really bit more. You know, some other ish. And so basically we're saying that it's architecture over enthusiasm. So architecture, oh, that is lovely as a highlight as well with the green, you know. I'm with the purple. Yo, that is a lovely highlight. So enthusiasm over architecture is where you go wrong. There's so much into the next line. I could just spend a whole hour on that alone. I mean, I do spend it. I spend 3 hours on this. So one of my YouTube videos is on time and 3D time and 4D time and 5D time. And yeah, what we're basically saying is these 1D containers, these one dimensional, like basically smart goals, if done, especially even not even done in the right way, becomes like a 1D container, becomes a 1D boundary. And all manifestation is fifth dimensional. All manifestations are fifth dimensional. We are always channeling, we are always divining, we are always being inspired. There is always an inspiration and an aspiration. There is always an intent and an attent, or intention and attention. And so your goals, your manifestations are always coming from a higher dimensional space, which we call the space of forms, or what Plato would call the space of forms, which is a high dimensional space where your thoughts are shaped, essentially. Your thought forms. Your thought forms. Hopefully people have heard of thought forms. You know, these things are real in the space where your thoughts are formed. You know, every thought is an egregore. So an egregore, just for people that don't know, an egregore is an entity or an energy or a spirit that exists, especially in culture, i.e. if 1,000 people believe it, then that thing exists. It gets imprinted into reality, and the energy takes on a life of what? Its own. It takes on an energy in the life of its own. So like I said, every idea, every thought is an opportunity moment for imprinting and engraving. Engraving was one of my words I was buzzing on today this week when I was building this slide, because you have graving, you have what? Grave. Yeah, so grave is what? Death. Yeah, where bodies go to die, where thoughts go to die. So when we're thinking about the mental, if the universe is mental, then a grave, the mental part of a grave, is where thoughts go to die. Why? Because you didn't give it enough what? Intention and attention. The quality of your consciousness was too weak, so it wasn't able to hold a charge for the mental universe, or the pen, the scribe, the Tahuti. You didn't hold enough attention in that space. You didn't put enough feeling into it. There wasn't enough bass in your voice when you spoke about it. There wasn't a trueness when you spoke. And so you wasn't able to what? Engrave. You wasn't able to engrave, etch. You wasn't able to etch your ideas into reality. There are times, many times, and I'm getting better at it because I'm working with this technology. This is technology. Everything is technology to me, just by the way. So I'm working with this technology, the technology of the mind. And you notice the quickening of, I might spend a week on an idea and say it out loud for the first time for 10 seconds. And in that 10 seconds, the resonance that is created, the waves, the energy waves, high, it waves. We don't need to have any separation in time between thought to a manifestation of that thought when it is spoken, when the word is spoken. If you're able to hold the vibration of that frequency, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your frequency. How we doing, people? And so, as a systems thinker, as a systems engineer, as a systems architect, we basically say that the real problem is the lack of tools, skills, and models. Your frames, your forms, your door, the darth, the door, the dialect. What they call it, shape. What they, and then that dance that models do with a shape thing. Vogue. That's it. Them Vogue movements. The Vogue movements. Your frames don't work. Essentially, your frames don't work. The real problem is that your frames don't work. I'm on one today, I can tell. I'm absolutely on one. Hopefully this is recording. I think it is recording. So you lack systems awareness and you lack soul alignment. And when I say soul alignment, my most simple way for speaking about soul alignment, if you want to understand that, is that your intentions don't match your attention. In a universe that is mental, the only thing of value is attention. One of my lines, one of my first lines, really, one of my first epiphanies 4 years ago that I wrote down. I was like, oh, that's so good. I need to write that one down. I did actually write a book once. I got to the 7th draft. I feel I'm going to release it soon. I think I'm going to release it next year. I think I'm going to release it next year. It deserves to be read or out there for someone to read, if that's what they so choose. So you were never taught to architect your life, is essentially what we're saying. Oh wow, that's amazing. That is amazing, man. So systems thinking. What is systems thinking? Systems thinking. Goals sit inside systems. Said that. Ah, this one's beautiful. Goals sit inside systems, and systems sit inside identity. Your systems sit inside of your identity. Yeah, we got to slow this one down. And then your identity sits inside attractor fields. So basically, because of this, you must build from the inside out. The whys only need a hint. So if people got that, that's a bar. If not, we'll slow it down. We'll explain it now. I'm actually going to flip it and go to the root. So instead of me reading it from go sit inside systems, I kind of explained that already. I'm actually going to go flip it and just start from the bottom, which is you must build from the inside out. That's just the key of where it starts. That's where to start. Obviously, the true seeker knows that he must go within. It's just that there is no other way other than to go within, other than to start with silence. What are my goals? What do I want to achieve? You know, sometimes it can be inner peace. I'm not trying to say everyone's just trying to go for fast money like that. You know, if you're watching this channel, you see the titles and, you know, be quite unusual for that to be the only thing, you know, for people watching this video. So if I'm speaking to my audience, but again, you know, trying to grow the channel, so, you know, new people and stuff like that. So obviously we understand there's a top down aspect. If you did want to go linear and say that obviously the high dimensions control the lower dimensions, i.e. obviously the fourth dimension controls the third dimension obviously oversees the second dimension, so on and so forth. High dimensions control the lower dimensions, or oversee. If you want to remove that word control, it's a matter of scaling. There are no problems, you're just looking at it wrong. There are no even real goals. It's just scaling. It's a scaling problem. That's another lecture. I might get to it. I might have something on that today. I'm not sure. But you must build from the inside out. Cool. And then your identity sits inside attractive fields. So I will be speaking about this a little bit later. I definitely know I've got a slide on this. So I've got a model called AHC, and the A stands for attractors, which essentially is where the shift begins to happen. So instead of thinking about goals, think about attractions. What does my form pull me to? Like a circle hole, if we're talking about perfect sizing, then a circle hole goes in a circle. Square goes, you know, you got that thing with the children, you know, that little game with the children where they're learning them about shapes. You put the circle in the circle, the square in the square, the triangle in the triangle. So the attraction, I'm attracted to a triangle because I recognize the triangle within me. The triangle within me recognizes the triangle within you. Namaste. The God in me sees the God in you. The one in me sees the one in you. 1 equals 1. In the image and likeness. Yeah. In the image and likeness. So your identity, as I said, is your form. Life is simple if you can understand your form. If you understand your thought forms, you then understand how you would easily understand what catches your attention. What catches your attention. So I don't need to think about goals. I don't need to think about the end game. All I focus on is the now moment of my shape. Let me think about all of the forms that have dictated the past year. You know, if I was gonna end the year review, if I was gonna do a year review, that's kind of the thing that I might say to myself. What forms did I take on? Which ones were attracted as, you know, if I want to use the language of good and bad, like if I'm trying to understand value and attraction, you know, who am I? What shape do I allow this vessel to form? Am I reactive to that? Am I reacting to the moment and, you know, be like water? Or am I forcing the issue? Am I forcing a form? Goals and identity go hand in hand. With this identity, we understand that there's a likeness that speaks to something deeper if we get truer to that that truer you, that authenticity. The closer we get to that, the more things become clear, the more things start to take shape. So how can I think about setting goals if I don't know who I am? How likely is it that I am going to be able to succeed if I still have this question of who am I looming over me? Or ignore it and brush it under the rug, or dismiss it and brush it under the rug, or ignorantly bliss it, gloss over it, as in you didn't even prioritize that. You know, if you watch this channel, you're probably on a know thyself path. Shout out to those people on a know thyself path, or people that have found themselves. What a journey, what a life. So your identity, like I said, sits inside the system. Especially the identified system, the system that you've proactively identified. Not forced, but that identification as an act of differentiation. You know, did my framework. And then your system sits inside the identity, and your goals sit inside systems. Who am I? What are my frameworks? What is my form? Sorry, who am I? What is my form? What are my frameworks? How can I better understand the system of systems that I am? You work out those things, you wouldn't even need goals. Like I said, the goals would just be a byproduct of being. the goals would be a byproduct of being. I told you, I'm feeling real slow today. Like I could just see where my yeah. Moving mad at the moment. Moving mad at the moment. So it's a hierarchical system in this 3D reality, or in these dimensions. When we say dimensions, we're talking about hierarchies of being, hierarchies of self. All is self and self is all. All is one and one for all. All is one and one is all. One equals one. And so today, I'm going to give you some models. There you go. What a lovely segue. I haven't looked at this slide deck since yesterday, or maybe two, when I built this. Yesterday, like I said, it's about the most prepared I've been. Normally I'm building it on the day, last minute. So we got 4 formulas. The formula of encoding, how to encode your reality, like the process of encoding, the hierarchy of encoding, you could even call it. It's a style, it's a move. So my original model was encoding. Last year, when I created this whole universe thing, the idea behind creating your own universe was this whole idea of encoding. That's what birthed it. That was the thought that stimulated the model. That was the attractor. Let's speak in my language. That was the attraction. This idea became an attraction, which became an obsession. Hear the words. The idea became an attraction into an obsession. I'm an overthinker. Obsessed with thoughts. And then that obsession, because I overshot, you overshoot, you go too much, go too in, you lose a sense of reality. This would happen to all philosophers. All philosophers have been there. All metaphysicians would have been there. It's all good. And then it settles back down. And if you've done it right, if your intent was true and the idea it was true, if you could find truth in the intent, in that initial idea, it will settle itself down into devotion. Timeless devotion. Why would I put a time limit on that? Why would I have a timely? The smart goals. The end of it is the time. Think about how they've even done it. Like everything is metaphysical, of course. The end goal is to keep you in linear time. Where is the devotion in the smart goals? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. I don't really hear devotion in that, even as a metaphysician that tries to see the beauty in all. I do see the beauty in smart goals, by the way, to be clear. And then we move on to stimulation theory, which is obviously the theory, which is my model of the universe, my theory of everything, stimulation theory, on which we are now on 3.0 of that idea. And then we have the quality of consciousness, which again, I'm now on 2.0. So I basically, sorry, for people that don't know, I basically rebuilt all my frameworks about a month ago. And this was the reason for me to come back on the channel. Or I had been thinking about frameworks heavy for months, rebuilding. I was doing a lot, you know, in my hiatus. I had a 4-month hiatus when I was off of YouTube, by the way, in case anyone doesn't know. And at the end of it, what sparked it, like, no, I need to come back out, was the end of me building some key frameworks that were just revolutionary in my life and that had unfolded. And attractors. So these attractors, sorry, what I didn't say is these attractors. So in power versus force, which is the in power versus force, they talk about the higher states of self. And so for me, I've put it in a trinity, or it's really a tetrahedral. We'll speak about that in a second. But I put that in a trinity. So again, what attracts you? What holds your attention? What magnetizes your attention? And so we speak about that as well. So those are the 4 models. And so without further ado, I'm gonna break them down, man. Yeah, loving this. So how you encode reality determines how it manifests. Done. How you encode reality determines how it manifests. Spoke about that. Balance structure with smart and with spirit. So structured spirit is essentially what we're going for. So what I said is, you know, we went through a whole Hegelian story and Hegelian hero story, which would be the thesis. I think I have an idea. Let me do this. That didn't work. Let me do the opposite thing. That also didn't work. Now let me integrate. And so that's what I basically did. Smart goes to magic goes to now smart magic, which is the balancing of structure and spirit. And then the decoding the signal, the designing the vessel, and divining the truth. Sorry, decoding the signal, design the vessel, divine the truth. This is the 3 system formula. So one of my first models that I came out with was I think it was actually, I'm not, yeah. Let's just say the first model that I came out with that had the most intent. A couple of years ago was this decode, design, and divine formula, which was before I found out about the encoding and realized the encoding aspect to it. So how do you do that? So this design as well. So we decode through knowing. We go through a state, through a place of knowing. And then through that knowing, we are able to decode. Or decode is recursive. It's consubstantial. So decoding and knowing go hand in hand, of course. The deconstruction of the pattern. The code is the pattern. So the facts, the structure, the what. We then design, which is obviously the architecture. The architecture, which is formed through the how. The quest of the how. So these are all questions. Quest equals questions. The energy of the quest. The what, the how. And then once we've mapped it out, we obviously need to live. We obviously need to breathe life into these moments. We need to build life into the system so we can create moments and momentum. So the motivation is through the attentional awareness of what. That what question, psychologically, that what is the attractor. What is that? What is that pointing to? The fundamental nature of consciousness is attention, in my opinion. Or one of the fundamental, for me anyway, if I was to distill it into one word, would be attention. Observer. Observing the what. And then we how. How, let me frame this different. How do I get close enough to know what? How do I get close enough to know the what? How do I get close enough to feel the what? What is that? What is the meaning of that thing? What is the form of that thing? What is the movement of that thing? Obviously, thing is the thing you're observing. And the only way for me to know is to sense, is to feel it. Organic architecture created from nature that is breathable. And then the why. I know one of the most famous questions is why. Start with the why. For me, why is retrospective. Start by looking at, start by trying to remember. I do understand that book, by the way. Like, obviously, I am understanding that as a wisdom piece, as a wisdom tool. You start with the why, the curiosity. I mean, all of these questions are curious questions. You could argue that the why is the most curious. The wisdom to look back, or the ability to observe back. And so in that divining aspect, you are ritualizing, you are establishing relevancy. In the meaning. And so that's the formula, the soul noble way. Why is it called formula? I'll just do that one for a second. Just form, and obviously in that word is the form, by the way, just to be clear. And in the form of you, which is obviously a vibration. You are, everything is energy. If all is energy, you are La. The La. The Sophia God. So spoke about stimulation theory. I said we moved on to version 3 of stimulation theory. So what we're essentially saying is that you need to be able to think and feel your way through this. So the stimulation is that reality is an excited, is a self-excited field. And so that know thyself is excitation. The only thing that you notice are the things that stand out. You notice what stands out. What stands out? That standing is a wave. Standing wave. So that standing wave is an excitation of the field, is an excitation of the ether, is a disturbance of the ether, is an interference of the peace. And so you must match your phase to the field. And if you think about the games are played in seasons. It's off season, that's off peak. It's off season, it's off peak. It's off season, it's off peak. So in order to be in resonance with the moment, you obviously have to understand the season that is at play. That is the gnosis, is understanding the season, the resonance. Once you do that, then you avoid being moved by the noise. So the seasons are not noises. The seasons are just another aspect, just another turning of being. The circle is always the circle regardless of its rotation. An angle. And perception. And so when you do this, you then have the ability to avoid the crash by transitioning modes consciously. And so another word for that would be chaos. And not the chaos of the oneness kind of level chaos. We're talking chaos as in disorganization, the disintegration, the dissolution. Add this to and then put another word after it. And that's essentially what I'm talking about. The disease, which moved out of peace with the moment. And so in order to build your stimulation, in order to build your architecture that's based on a theory of understanding stimulation, you need to understand excitation, which is obviously another word for stimulation, which is love. You know, all roads lead to love, visions, and openings. That opening is the opening of the eye. My eyes are now open and I see, I am attracted to what? You can even skip the how once you've got the model and just go straight to the why. Why am I attracted to that thing? What is that thing and why am I attracted to it? So we go with it. We explore. And we explore through curiosity, through an obsession. You know, this allows the movement. And then we exploit. And so as I've spoken about, exploitation is not the negative connotation of exploitation. It's used in a systems, from a wisdom paradigm of I am able to overcome. And so I can continue to move forward regardless of the so-called obstructions or the so-called problems because we understand that it was never a problem. It was just a matter of perspective. And so if I want to shift the problem, I just need to shift the way I'm looking at it. And see if there's another entry point in that will allow me to continue my attraction and my devotion with this thing, which is in which I have fallen from grace, or I've lost resonance with the moment. And in that losing resonance of the moment, I now have a problem. I've lost coherence with myself that allows me to see and be right and exact. And so I've lost my power. I've lost a grip. I've lost my power grip. I've lost a grip on the reality. And so, qualia. This framework is a massive framework. And in here, I'm just picking apart. So the other two frameworks, that was the full frameworks in its distillation form. This framework is, I need to explain, I'm going to do a whole video on it, especially because it's, I've went to version 3.0. So I've not spoken about it. But it's one of my linchpin frameworks. I mean, all of these are actually. What was the last one? Yeah, easily, yeah. All three of these frameworks are linchpin frameworks out of the 100 frameworks I have. And so the qualia, the quality of your consciousness, QC is the quality, the qualia of your consciousness, is understanding that you need to feel the state. This is the felt state, the texture, the pressure, the touch. Your reality is shaped by how you feel the field. Feeling the field and emitting the right chord, being tuned to the field, allows for the emission of the right chord in perfect harmony and timing. That allows you to shape reality in its true form. The reason why my speech is slow today is because I've been on words, and every single word that I'm saying is felt. Like, I've been on a mad one with words. I don't know if I have not done a video where I break down words for a while. But yeah, if you don't know, I have 11 ways to break down any word. Well, I had 11 ways. And this was years ago. This is when I wrote a book. So I teach in words, numbers, and symbols. We'll be speaking more about that in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned. Again, I've revamped how I'm thinking about that as well now. Like I said, everything is under focus at the moment. And I understand the story and the pattern of where I started my attentions. What is a thing to a consciousness being? How do we feel? Words, numbers, and symbols. And so today, every single word is felt. I'm attracted to every word that I say. I can hear it, I can feel it. And if I write them out, I see it and I see more. I have 11 ways to break down a word. And I know when I revisit this, I wouldn't want to put a number in it. It's not about a number. It's not about numbers anyway. It's the qualia. I could have 3 ways. I could redefine the system and be like, well, all of those 11 things fit within the shell are a subgroup attribute of this one thing. And this one thing holds the boundary point, the containment, the structure that allows these things to echo. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, a container, a bottle of water. We allow for the echo, we allow for the inference, the wave interference. So anyway, cymatics. And so we optimize for health. So if we optimize for depth of experience, not just output. The key difference. It's the key difference when you shift from a goal. The key difference for that from when you shift from a goal to experience, going for felt experiences, the depth. Wisdom is self-proximity. Shout out to Ken Wheeler. When you do that, you supersede goals. And then one of the biggest things in the qualia system is about alignment. Again, teaching soul alignment. So in this formula, of which there are, I think, 8 components to this actual formula. I'm not going to show it today. Today's not the day. Attention and intention are both in there. I'll just let you know that. And I've just said about soul alignment being largely affected by how resonant how in align you are with your intention and attention. Your attention and intention. You are the real AI. You are the real AI. Restore chat. La, 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 la. Oh, whoops. What happened there? All right, cool. It's fine. All right, cool. Not important. View the specs. So I gave you 3. So yeah, I mean, there's more than 3, but these 3 are the ones that I've picked out of the 8 that focus the field of manifestation. So intention is soul aligned vector of will. The soul aligned vector of will. Attention is signal to noise clarity. Your signal to noise ratio. Again, I'm going to break that. That deserves to be broken down properly. So we'll do that on another video when I speak about it, when the time is right. And then your openness. So when we're speaking more about the magic, in one of the magic in the magic formula is this idea of infinite space and the openness and the unlimited potential, the unlimited potentiality of things. And so that obviously allows us to expand the qualia. Attention and intention allow for depth, and openness allows for width. Vector. These vectors, these 3 qualities vector your space. Quaternion. I will be teaching this at some point. Quaternions. You can look that up yourself. The wise only need a hint. That's where we're going with this stuff, by the way. Where I'm already there. It's just, you know, we're teaching in sequences. But quaternions is where this is heading to. I'm going so slow. I'm on it. Yeah. Just cadences. I enjoy cadences, rhythms. Sometimes I speak fast, sometimes I speak excited. Today is thoughtful speech. That is the cadence that you're hearing today. And then we spoke about attractors quite a little bit. And AHC. I wonder if they got this right actually. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, cool. It's right. Just making sure. All right, cool. Yeah, so the AHC is affective homeodynamic coherence. Again, there'll be a week where I teach this. There's certain things that I do that just deserve hours worth. So, you know, this is a whole week or two. So the version 2.0 of stimulation theory, in which I was explaining last week, version 3.0 came, you know, a week later. But in version 2.0, it was based off of it was stimulated, it was excited by this word called affect, which is the felt state, which is your felt state essentially. And your felt state, obviously we speak about the attention, and then we spoke about homeodynamic. So this idea of homeodynamic is just this idea of a moving, shifting field. The only constant is change. And so understanding yourself within a frame. So sometimes when we think frameworks, we think of stillness. Sometimes when we think of frameworks, we think of structure that doesn't move. The only thing that should hold is the truth. The center should hold, the truth should hold. But because of the shiftiness of energy, it is your perspective that changes as an observer. Which would seem like that thing's moving. Have you ever been still in a car and a car moves and then you think you're moving? That's a good one. Just think about that. I don't even need to over exercise that one. You can exercise that in your own mind. You know, or a retrograde planet, if you understand that. Do some research or watch some videos. And then I'm basically saying that the highest attainments are love, joy, and wisdom. Which allow for peace. So love, joy, and wisdom is a triad. Is the triadic attractors of the higher states of consciousness and the qualia of it. The qualia is attracted to these states if we understand the hierarchy of dimensions. I will give a notable, massive shout out to Grace. The quality of Grace which in my opinion is false, which in my opinion is false, which in my opinion is first felt as a retrospective action of knowing the divine, of an appreciation and an awe of the design, the fearing of God. If anyone doesn't understand, the word fear didn't mean to be scared, it meant to be in awe. The awesomeness, the mightiness, the magnificence of the power of the Most High, which leaves you speechless, renders you speechless. Which brings in the humility, the humbleness. Not from a cowering, not from a I feel lower, but from an honoring. I feel honored to feel this moment and sharing this moment with the Most High. And if you really want to go there, as the Most High, 1 equals 1. And so yeah, humility. I obviously like 3s and 4s. But yeah, humility and humbleness has been on my mind. Grace has been on my mind. But how we fall from grace. This is I don't think I'm gonna do a lecture on it, quite honestly. I think I've even just said it here. I feel that's enough. But yeah, this falling from grace is the egoic humility. Just so I mean, so basically, yeah. So essentially, there's 2 types of humility. It's a bit of a tangent, but it's an important tangent because it's another attractor and it's not on here. So to speak about it. And so the bruised ego humble, or the fake humble. Let me downplay everything. Let me undermine my power. Let me dim my light. You know. Or let me try to look like I'm humble because we understand the humility of people enjoying humble people. And so let me downplay the moment and not call it out for what it is. You know. So that would be an egoic act. I'm talking about the highest self-resonant moment, connecting with the highest self-resonant moment in appreciation. And so when you add that as a spec, as a specification, along with joy, love, wisdom, and peace, the joy, the excitation, the expression, the love, the connection, the belonging, the wisdom, the truth, the structure, the peace, the crowned state. And the grace, the honoring of the crowned state. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. We need to get the 5. We need to get the grace up in there. This is basically what I'm saying. This is just basically the reflection point. We need to get the grace up in here. It's too powerful to just omit. And obviously some people say that gratitude is the highest frequency. Levels of consciousness. Richard Hawkins. So yeah, for anyone that doesn't know what I'm speaking about, let's just bounce this up in there real quick. Real quick. I would like to think that many people have seen this, but you know, oh my days, that's a terrible one. high quality. All right, high quality. God blimey, I got some poor quality ones there. What's going on? All right, that will have to do. That's decent enough. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so yeah, this is not the one I wanted actually. Yeah, so anyway, let's do it properly. Yeah, peace and enlightenment. So you got enlightenment as well at the top. So this is Richard Dawkins, basically power versus force. This is the Hawkins scale, and just showing you what true power actually is, or vibration. So when people say high vibrations, a lot of people refer to this like one of the most popular things out there. There you go. I was looking just for more something simple like this. I'm gonna find out who said that gratitude was the highest frequency. Actually, I actually haven't went to the source for that. I've just heard it said so many times. But I'm gonna go to the source research. I'm not gonna do it in your time. I'll do it in my own time. But I do want to find that out. Yeah. So back to the program. All right. Cool. This is nice, man. All right. So yeah, just a quick one. So yeah, while goals fell, I feel like we've done this a little bit, so I'm gonna be real quick with it. So while goals fell, the wrong encoding, too rigid, too vague. The wrong phase, pushing when you should pause. The wrong felt state, stress versus flow. This is all power versus force dynamics, by the way. And the wrong attractor, force versus magnetism. Oh shit, I didn't even. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Again, this is not a teaching AI lesson. I'm just showing, not telling today. But this is my new teaching platform. As you can see, it's built with code. So let's get back to the program. All right, cool. Actually, I'm not even sure if you saw that it was built with code. I wasn't looking at the screen. All right, cool. Anyway, let's keep it moving. So, yeah, like I said, for me, you understand this, you'll see why your goals fail. And like I said, failed goals should be a byproduct of being. That is the highest level, I would say, to go to. But again, if you need goals, have goals. Just do them. Just don't do these things. And then we've got the smart scale. So yeah, we're finishing up. This is beautiful, man. I'm really enjoying the speed. So I shortened my lecture down to 2 hours. To 2 hours last week, which was one of my shortest lectures. Normally I go on for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And I feel like, well, one, there's no one in the chat. So there's no one live. So there's less interaction. I'm normally buzzing with interaction with people, you know. I feed off of people's energy. So I'm staying in my own vibration today, which for once is actually a beautiful thing. Like normally when people are not in the live, I feel like I give a lesser performance, or there's a lesser thing. There's like a lack. I feel like something is lacking. Today I'm able to stabilize my own field, and it's I'm appreciating that just as much as the interaction, like the last week's video, for example. All is divine. Everything is fine. All is divine. And I'm coherent in my being. So the need for me to resonate with someone live. That's why I normally do live. Is because I enjoy those resonant moments. I enjoy, and I enjoy teaching, and so I like to teach real live. You know, ask my question and to have that dynamism in that conversation. But my mind is dynamic enough to be able to hold my own field and to be those moments and to recognize those moments of change. You see, you know, I've stabilized my field, and I desire for me to just share. All I can do is share. I don't really want to set up goals of watch time or how many people are going to watch. You know, I would appreciate, I would see the value of people watching, because obviously you want to be useful in life. And so if you keep on doing things and no one is using your things, you may question yourself. That's a fair question. But when we say that things are things are, there are no problems. So I don't have a problem of no one live right now. That would be a timed issue. That would be me looking at the time wrong. I'm not viewing time from a high enough dimension. Because who says no one's listening? This is resonating in the field right now. Because the attention and the intention of my being is about as true as I can be. And I know that because I feel it in my speech. That's what I've been keep saying about the slowness of my speech today. There is a weight to it that I know is resonating in the universe, that the energy that I've put into this to present this to you. To who? Ask the who. Start with the who. I said that once. Start with the who. You know, I know that I know that my authentic self speaking in my true voice resonates throughout the universe. This is a knowing. I've proven it. I've proven it. And I don't want to go too deep. I'm not going to go too metaphysical today. But, well, this is all metaphysics, but I don't want to go too, I don't even know what the word is. Spiritual. Let's just say multi-dimensional spiritual talk. But proving, like the doughing, you know, too much water, is it too wet? Do I need more dough? The yeast. Infect, like an affect. We said fect is feeling, yeah. Fect equals feeling. The affect, the infect. You know, the mind's virus. Language. Language is a parasite. Language is a parasite because it has because it has the ability to infect the moment. I desire for my words to be infectious. I desire for my words to be infectious. All is self and self is all. I think I'm doing so good with time, I'm allowing myself to go off on a couple of tangents because I'm just feeling the moment. And I'm recognizing how I would have been on my first, this is my what, 45th video? Or was it my 46th? I can't remember. 45th, I think this is. I think last week was my 44th. And one of the things I've noticed is that I never look at the camera, like, which is just a light dot. You know, I don't have a webcam. You know, I always look at myself, and I'm noticing the positive of that. It's not a self-indulgent thing. it's an effect. It's subconsciously, I'm just recognizing the subconscious action of me looking at myself in the camera when I speak. And it's an affecting point. Like the universe is a mirror, and all is self, and self is all. And so it's like I'm feeling myself in the moment, feeling myself. I'm feeling myself in the moment, feeling myself. Anyway, tangent over. But to me, this all is the same thing. These tangents, that's not a far off tangent. It may sound far off, but as a syncretist to me, it makes sense why I would segue. Why I would segue. You know, there's no words today that are not being noticed. Everything is under noticed. It's just one of those days today. Next week, I may have a different cadence. Who knows? And so the synthesis is the smart scale. And shout out to Richard. Oh, I forgot to send Richard a video. Shout out to Richard. I'll send this to him after. I've never got an astrology reading from anyone because obviously I do my own readings, but you know, this person is a master astrologer on another level. You know, 10,000 hours he's put it in. Felt as well. I speak to him. Felt. It's not 10,000 hours from a time perspective. It's the feeling. It's the lived it. He's lived. He has lived what he teaches. He has lived in that time. Gave me a little reading today. He just put my, for the first time, I've known this guy for a while, and for the first time, put my name in his system and just said some things that just spoke exactly to what I was feeling and what I knew. Shout out to Nevin. He dropped an amazing bar which says that the greatest, who's another teacher, another spiritual teacher, who said the greatest thing I can do is make you remember. So it's not about teaching something new. It's about teaching something anew. I've been on one today. The wise only need a hint. This is how it started today. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of a tangent. That's what I'm saying. When there's other people on the chat, I'll normally do a tangent because I might know those people, and then I just go into my life stories. And obviously, I love telling stories. Synchronicity, you know, it's my thing. Synthesis, my thing. And as I was saying to Richard, my day started off this 4-hour philosophical hole that I was exploring was because I didn't understand a sentence that someone said. I was listening to someone called Muji, and he said one sentence. Don't ask me what the sentence is, but because I'm gonna do a lecture on it. Like, I listened to one sentence and did a whole 4-hour and built frameworks, models, came to conclusions from one sentence because I didn't understand it, or I kind of got it. I kind of knew the kind of area that it was in. I knew kind of, but it just was like, and I just paused the video 5 seconds in. This is how the video started. Pause the second, 5 seconds in, and then did my whole 4 hours, carried on with my day, and then came back to the video an hour before the lecture today, the class today, this video today, and everything he said was just felt on such another level because I had put the hours in before that. And it's not like these were concepts that I hadn't heard before. It's just the way that it was said. It was kind of like the way he used the English language. He kind of just twisted the words. You wouldn't normally say a sentence like that. That's what threw me. I was like, what? And it just opened up a gate. And so what we did there is we went into pure spirit, like Ra. We went into pure spirit, and then we came out with frameworks and new words and new points of attraction and affection. And so I built a tool. So basically, all right, so yeah, so my new system, again, doing well for time. And I'm not trying to keep you on for longer, but, you know, there are people that may want to see and understand the more holistic view of what this channel's about and where we're going with the channel. So, you know, I want to give that its time as well. So this new learning platform that I've just built, where you're seeing version 0.10, 2-3 weeks time, you'll see version 0.20 most likely, but for now, I'll stick to this for the next couple of weeks. And I say that in jest, by the way. I have no idea how quickly I work on these things. Sometimes I surprise myself. So it could even be next week, who knows. All in divine time, you will see a new version, but essentially I'm no longer going to be teaching from PowerPoints. And I said that so last week I basically shared a PowerPoint that was AI generated using GNO.B.EL. So I've been plugging that for the last couple of weeks, or since I've come back, because that's where my learning platform is now sitting for the moment. Hint, hint. I'm building something too big to even mention right now. So this here is me saying that I want to teach. I'll give a little bit of a hint of it. Is where I'm going with it is I'm going to be teaching interactively interactive tools. That's how I'm going to be teaching on YouTube moving forward. I'm not really seeing people do this. I haven't seen anyone do what I'm even doing right now, quite honestly. But it's cool. We've got more to come, just to start. So what I'm saying is I'm going to be teaching with this kind of slideshow kind of thing, like what I've got now. I don't know what it's going to look like version 4. I haven't thought of it that far. That's not the next 2 steps. And so we've now built basically a framework. So I did it last week where basically I built a little mini interactive tool. So that was my first week, but it wasn't integrated into the learning platform. So this week I've now integrated into one where I've got the learning, which is what we've just done with the slides. Obviously we've come to the last slide, or near the last slide. We're on number 12 out of 15, just in case you didn't realize. And then now it's like, how do you apply that as logic? So yeah, I basically built this mini tool, and then you'll see it here now. I have another version of it. I built this up like twice, but it's cool. We'll just show this one for now. So yeah, basically what we're saying is that on this end, you've got the structure, or what you would say the SMART goals, it's the same word. And then on here is the magic framework, or the ether. So 2 weeks ago, I spoke about the sovereign and the sovereign mind, and how we're basically building the sovereign mind. Architecture for the sovereign mind is essentially what you're seeing here. I haven't spoken about the sovereign mind, but this is my attractor for 2026. My number 1 attractor for 2026, or definitely my top 3 attractors of 2026, is sovereignty. Sovereignty. And which is a perfect 5, by the way, which is perfect balance, just to be clear. So what we've got here basically is we've got the analyze stage. So you think of your goal, and the first thing you need to do, sorry, let me start again. You think of your goal, and the first thing you need to do is, how much magic do I need to put into this moment, into this attention, whether it's a goal or whether you want to go with my thing, which is attractors. How much is this more of a spiritual thing, you could say, or is this more of a matter thing? Oh, yeah, no, we've got to do it manually now. That's different. And so as we move, so say like we're like, all right, cool, I just need to do a task. I need to just write this letter, pay this bill, whatever. So paying the bill would be like here, pure structure. Pure structure. It's just stabilizing a pattern. That's essentially what you're doing. You're just stabilizing a pattern. It's factual. Did I send the bill? How much is the bill? What is it? It's pure facts. Pure linearity. Pretty simple. It may not even be simple. It could be a complex task. It could be a complex legal case, for example. But essentially, it's factual. And then you've got here, which is the ether. All right, cool. So I want to tap into like magic. Maybe I'm doing like a ritual. I want to tap into magic or something like that. And so this is a sliding scale. So the first thing you do is you ask yourself, so this is a reality tuner. It's a reality tuner. Again, all of this may be named. This is just like quick ideas. I have spent a little bit of time in it. 3 iterations. It's like the 3rd version of basically, maybe 4th, probably 6th version of what you're seeing now. So anyway, the attractive field, when it's at pure magic stage, is pure love. I'm doing it for the love. We're here for the love. We're doing it for the love. So that would be the attractive field. Shout out to Ava Truth. I really haven't been looking at the chat today. I really haven't been looking at the chat today. So shout out to Ava Truth. So the attractive field is pure love. The vibration of love. Love makes the world go round. It's the connection point. So all I want to do is connect with a moment and stay in pure love. And so that's the magic. That's the magic. I haven't actually realized one thing. I haven't actually broke down magic, the acronym of magic yet. So I'll definitely do that towards the end. Sorry, let me do that now actually. Yeah, because I think, yeah, I've only just realized I haven't broken down magic. I did have it on another version of my tool. I did have it on another version of my tool. Go magic. All right, the smart magic scale. All right, cool. So magic stands for meaning, alignment, gnosis, intention, and coherence. Intention and coherence, if anyone has watched my channel, I speak about coherence practically every day, every week, every channel. That's like what that was probably like my theme. I didn't make it a theme of last year. I had vibration as the theme. So vibration was my theme for last year. That was my major theme for last year, I would say, or the one that held my attention the most. And springing out of vibration was the word coherence and resonance and realization, for example. Gnosis, I'm going to break that down at another time, but it just means deep knowing, like so knowing, gnosis, gnostic. I had one of my 2 hours, I had 2 halves. There were 2 different themes, 2 different tangents I went down today. One was this whole Muji tangent, and then I went outside and I grounded for the first time. So I haven't grounded for a while, and I went outside. When I mean a while, I mean like a whole month. I haven't put my foot to dirt. So I put my foot to dirt, my bare foot to dirt, and I went into the silence, whatever, do what you're supposed to do. And then this phrase came to me just out of nowhere. And then I went for another 2 hours and built some more things from that. From 2 phrases, essentially. And one of the byproducts of this second phrase, which I'm not teaching today, because it deserves a whole video, was me understanding gnosis on another level. Just understanding what another angle of gnosis. And so know is my name, that I've had for 3 years. So gnosis has been, and know thyself, that's been an attractor word for me for 15 years. maybe 20, probably 20 years. Why would I say 15 for? 20 years. The word gnosis has held my attention. And I found, some more depth to it. Some wonderful depth to it. A crystallization. Another crystallization moment. Does that mean that I'm in love with gnosis? This love is unconditional, and that word is unlimited. So imagine what comes from that. Revelations, resonance, realization. And I talk about soul alignment all the time. My first ever hashtag, when I built my system, alignment was the first thing I spoke about. And also I've spoken today about how you align. And then meaning, I speak about meaning all the time, and that we're in a meaning crisis. Shout out to John Vervaeke. When I was building this, John Vervaeke is who I was listening to the most. And so a lot of this is, that meaning thing is just John Vervaeke, if you know who that is. And so that's what magic is. That's essentially what magic is. So there you go. And then for the first time today, so every week I'm advancing what I do in AI. I'm doing things for the first time. So for the first time, I installed a plugin, an AI plugin. So I've actually now finally installed a chatbot into an app, which is what you're seeing here. So this is an app that has a chatbot. So you can manually just do this and get actions. And the other one I had, it had more instructions. It was more instructional, had more content on it. This one is more visual, has less content. But yeah, just beautiful. And so this one is more AI led, which is simple, which is where I'm going with things, by the way. I'm going with this whole chatbot thing. Like, that's what anyway, let's not go too much. So my intention, I want, oh, sorry, that is the most annoying thing with this app. And I couldn't be bothered to fix that. I didn't fix it. Oh. Sorry, wait there for 1 second. Yeah, sorry. When you press spacebar, the spacebar also moves the slide. So that's where there's a confusion. The spacebar does two things. It moves the slide, but it doesn't do the spacebar and the AI thing. So that's just one bug that I would sort out. So anyway, yeah, I have to write. So I want to launch a, oh, God bless me, launch a spiritual God bless me, app in 2026. All right, then you press the encode button. Tuning. Boom. Boom. So then we've got the reality score. So reality density. So integrate vibrational architecture. So design a systematic framework of the spiritual utility. Calibrate the structural metrics against the channeled mandate. The 2026 marker defines the terminus point for manifest coherence and operational launch. Yo, that's so wordy. Yo, my AI is moving mad, fam. My AI is moving mad. I can't even tell you that. If this is what it's doing right now, yeah, and I haven't even, I'm not even so joking. This is 0.1 of the vision I have in my mind. Like, yeah, that's moving mad. Design the systematic framework of the spiritual utility. Calibrate the structural metrics against the channeled mandate. brother. These are just, I mean, like if someone said that to me, yeah, and it actually resonated with me, and I got inspired by something like that. That's a whole week thing for me personally. That's what I'm trying to say. Like the wise only need a hint. If I read that as a statement or as a call to action or as a directive, like the density, the richness of that statement, the richness of that statement, it's got me now thinking, because I'm now like, rah. The reason why it's able to speak like that, by the way, because this code is, I'm gonna say this code is siloed. I'm just clocking what's happening now. This is the first time I've actually worked with a chatbot, and this chatbot is siloed. What I mean by siloed is the only information it has about me is the information that's in the code. I'm just clocking it now. So I have to say this one out loud. So everything today has just been in real time, like real channel. I don't think I'm not broken, but I can get excited. That's what I'm saying. Like the slow thing was thing, and then now I'm obviously in a point of excitation. It's all the same thing. It's just the wave. Like don't get twisted. It's all the wave. I'm all there, always present. But what I'm seeing now, what's got me excited now, is that language comes from the code that I put in the presentation slide. So when I fed it my formula or the structure of my content for the week, and I gave it a lot. I gave it way too much information, let's just say. So it wasn't just these words. I've not mapped it out like that. I'm not going to go into how I've mapped it out, because, you know, if anyone's interested in that stuff, like I need to start doing videos on spiritual architecture. This is essentially where I probably could go, because I can't imagine what Seven Boma could definitely speak on it, like easily, like as in this is like Seven Boma home territory is what I'm basically trying to say. Yeah. I'm saying it now. I've never spoke to the guy. I can guarantee me and him are gonna speak. Just no ifs or buts. Like the convergence is just too much. And or he just watches a video, who knows? Or he just watches something. I don't know. It will happen. So, because there's not many people that are understanding the metaphysics of systems on an AI level, and I'm just starting. He's already got apps. So anyway, design. I have an app as well, by the way. Sorry, we launched on the same day, our app. Coincidentally, I've never spoken to the guy. So, didn't even know what he was building. Design the systematic framework of a spiritual utility. So basically what I'm trying to say is I've uploaded my content and the AI is speaking the language of my content. Because I'm like, because when I've read this, because again, I've only played about this once, and when I did it before, I wasn't really paying attention to it. I actually did something I did a goal for a child, like build a car toy or something like that, or something like real silly like that. I was just seeing if it was working. And so my whole point is the AI has been loaded with my language and is now speaking back to me in a way that resonates with me specifically. There's not too many people that will speak like this. This is how I speak to AI. Or this is how I distill thoughts. Like, I was even saying today, I'm going to release one of my chats, maybe one that's not too sensitive or too private or whatever, but I'm going to release one of my chats with AI, because the way I speak to AI, I think people could learn a lot just from the conversation that would allow for an output from a chatbot like this, because all these chatbots are doing is linking words. And so this may look like word salad to other people, but there is a density there's a semantical density in this speech. You know, I'm never going to explain what it means, because if you know, you know. But you could see it. It's semantic density. What some people may call word salads. And I do not know what word salads are. There is obviously the thing called word salads where you're just trying to throw big words in for the fun of it. But every single one of these words I could, or group of words I could speak about for 15 to 20 minutes easily. Easily. And that's what that would be, me being short. Just short. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a video. Oh, I haven't said I'm going to be doing a video on words, which I've not done for a long time. I've not done a video on etymology and words for a long time. I would say probably maybe at the start of my channel, maybe the first 10 videos, I might have done 1 or 2 videos on words. But yeah, we're going to come back with a version 2.0, which I've not even built yet. Well, yeah. Say no more. I kind of have built it, but kind of haven't. Anyway, I'm about to get out of here. I really appreciate that. I'm now looking at the average view time, and there's 5s in there, 555. So yeah, that's a beautiful divine timing to get out of there. And then the time is, look, and then we hit the resonant point as well. With the time is 12, well, which so it's good to be noted. The time was 9:12 or 21:12. I'm done. The resonance, people. The resonance. I haven't done a video on divination in time. Obviously I've been off YouTube for 4 months, so you know I've not done much things for time. But like, I don't feel like I've spoke about divination at time. I'm enjoying doing videos again. I'm gonna get out of it, but I'm really enjoying doing YouTube videos again. Like, I'm really enjoying it. And because I've come back with a purpose. I've come back with a project in mind. Going back to the start. Do you see what I mean? Like, even though these seem like rants and channels and things, but you can see, hopefully you can see how I'm living and breathing these methods and these formulas. I'm not just trying to push out content to push out content. Like, for the first time, I have my next 4 videos planned, and it was completely spontaneous. Today, for this 4 hours thing, was one of the byproducts. I wasn't even trying to, but just one of the byproducts of these 4 hours of contemplation, of meditation. And meditation is in thinking on something. The original meaning of meditation. Mentation. Is the next 4 weeks. I haven't built the slides yet. I haven't built nothing. I think I actually even built a little bit of something. I just made a little note. But again, the quickening. That's why this AI thing, like all I'll say on the AI note, as we get into like the end, where it's, you know, I'm showing the tool and I'm getting excited about tools because I'm building tools right now. You know, I have multiple projects, and then one, I won't say one. Yeah, one stupid project, and then other mini projects. And so anyway, the whole point is how I'm going to evolve. I can feel myself evolving as a thinker because I'm working with AI. I've not really heard people speak about that. I know this is an inside joke. This is what I was contemplating. I can guarantee you that this is an inside joke of all software engineers. But the way in which I'm structuring my thoughts while still tapping into the magic and understanding things like latent space from a systems architect point of view and from a metaphysical point of view. Quaternions and latent space, how that is now resonant philosophically, and AI-ly. And yes, I did just make up that word. You get my drift. All right, anyway, peace, people. This has been fantastic. I think I'm on slide 13, so I don't even know what the next slide is. But yeah, we'll do it with some takeaways. Oh yeah, that was it. I said I was going to do takeaways. So we'll get out of there quick. So how to build, state your intention, tune in. This is really about the tool, really. You tune in the encoding, which is the slider. You align the phase through stimulation, and you check the resonance through the attractors. That was just basically speaking about the tool, like what the tool does, basically, how to use the tool practically. And then, sorry, this is really the key takeaway. So yeah, if you were going to take anything away from this video, if you've watched it to the end, we speak a lot, we speak slowly. You know, maybe you've paused the video so it's even longer than the live show version. And so we're basically saying that when you, so I haven't even said that really. When you tap into these levels, you transcend goals. I have said that, but I'm saying you're transcending goals because your attractors become timeless. How can you have too much love if it's a pure love that's unconditional? How can you have too much joy if it's a true joy that's unconditional? How can you put a time on grace if it's true grace that's felt? How can you put a time on that? You don't. You don't put a quantity on that. You put a qualia on that. You don't put a quantity on that. You put a qualia on that. Qualia, quality. Then you allow your things to become timeless, which supersede, transcend, make goals almost irrelevant. If you can do that even with your smart goals, you are winning. You won in life. You've won in life. That's the level that I'm trying to move to now, is that my life have been focused, especially this last year or two, has been focused too much on magic and not enough on smartness. So I've not really been smart with things. And so we're sharpening up. We're recalibrating and rebalancing. This is life architecture. Structure plus soul equals sovereignty. Oh, it did Bumblecly. When did I write that? Right, that shit is paying attention, boy. Structure plus soul equals sovereignty. What do you say the attractor was for the year? Encode your 2026 and design your U-verse. Yo, got my models up in there. It's got my models, fam. It's got my models, fam. Anyway, peace and love, people. Peace and love. 1 equals 1. All is self and self is all. All is divine and everything is fine. And don't get distracted by the madness. Get the method. Check your method before you get distracted by the madness. And with that, peace and love, and we out.